Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Mestemacher, a director of research here at Edison Group, and I am pleased to be sitting today with Gianmarco Orgnoni, director and COO of Vection Technologies. Gianmarco, thank you for taking time to speak with us today about Vection. And to start, would you discuss the fundamental role Vection plays in the XR markets and tell us a little about your value proposition?
I would probably start by actually defining what the XR markets are, because it's one of those new terms. It's always probably useful to give a little bit of an explanation of this acronym. So XR, or as the let's say the terminology is extended reality, is really a catch-all term for different but related technologies. It rolls essentially together similar but different acronyms, including VR, which stands for virtual reality, augmented reality, so AR, and MR, which stands for mixed reality. So all these technologies put together stand for XR. So VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality, and MR, mixed reality, combined are defined as XR. And all XR technologies in some way, shape, or form are effectively an interface. So they take the human to PC interface and modifies it effectively. So in the first case, so with virtual reality, it immerses the user in a virtual environment. So through the use of a headset, you're completely immersed in this virtual digital environment. With augmented reality, so AR, what you're doing is you're essentially adding a digital layer, so digital elements, within your field of view, so within what you're seeing. And one great example is through the utilization of a phone, where you're just adding some filters, or like the game Pokemon Go, you're adding digital elements to the world around you. And then you've got mixed reality, which essentially combines elements of virtual reality and augmented reality. And inside of this essentially XR umbrella term, you also got a new fantastic trend, which essentially has been pushed by Facebook, now renamed as Meta, which is the metaverse. So the metaverse effectively comes really into play with XR technologies, because meanwhile the metaverse is what has been defined as a collective virtual shared space. You really have the convergence inside of the metaverse of virtually enhanced physical and digital reality. But to really access this digital reality, you need an interaction in the display layer. So that is where XR comes into play. So meanwhile, the metaverse is a digital space. XR technologies enable you to access this digital space by providing you a display and a new and novel way of interacting with this space. And the metaverse is really it's really interesting because it's a combinatorial trend. So it combines different kind of technologies where you've got augmented reality, you've got virtual reality, you've got head-mounted displays, you've got Internet of Things to interact with real-world kind of elements. You've got cloud technologies, you've got artificial intelligence, you've got spatial technologies, and a lot more essentially that comes to life via the metaverse. And this is where essentially Vection is operating. So we work in assisting. So our focus is really on assisting enterprises. We work in the B2B space, and we assist enterprises closing the gap between the digital and the virtual world. And we do this via our unique integrated XR solutions and workflow. So our mission, our vision is really to change the way people or companies perceive and interact with the digital world. And we do this across a big variety of industries, and maybe we can touch on that later on as well. So if an enterprise is looking to create the 3D assets, or if the enterprise already has the 3D assets and they just want the digital experience, the software to really engage in this new novel trend, Vection is there to assist the enterprise make this significant leap and not be left behind by what is this trend. So if you think about the full workflow, essentially, of a company looking to join into this, what we like to call industrial revolution, is you need to create a 3D asset that can be utilized in a digital environment. So if we think about maybe what everybody's thinking around the metaverse and this digital shared space, the first element is the 3D asset creation. The second element is to actually create your digital experience. The digital experience can be in the design and engineering phase of a company. It could be in the manufacturing phase, or it could also be in the sales and marketing or post-sale. And Vection is there to assist an enterprise make this leap. But all in all, we are a technology company. So what we do is we have created a suite of solutions that stand under the banner Integrated XR. For companies to really have a plug and go solution to essentially become more efficient, sell more, and really take the best benefits of these technologies. And considering these are still early technologies and we're still in the early adoption phase of these technologies, there's still a significant amount of consulting work to be done with companies. So we usually partner with our customers in identifying new ways of doing business for them through the utilization of technologies, or simply put, we can also assist them in just taking the quickest benefit thanks to our technology. And what we're doing. So this is one of the greatest revolutions or digital revolutions of our time. Vection is there to assist companies in creating this new way of experiencing the digital world, so the metaverse and all these combinatorial technologies.
Great, thank you. So let's talk about the XR market. Tell us about, how is that market growing? What are some of the key drivers behind it?
The XR market is, again, it's a very broad market where you've got all these different kind of combinatorial technologies coming into play, but few data that can be found in the market, and we're experiencing this also for ourselves as well. We had significant growth in the first half of the fiscal year, so we grew by over 1,000% PCP, so compared to the previous corresponding period. But one thing that really struck us is, I think it was a report from Gartner that stated that by 2026, 30% of organizations in the world will have products and services ready for the metaverse, which is essentially a massive increase from now, where this is essentially negligible today. And when we're talking about the metaverse, again, is a lot of different technologies. So you've got this combinatorial effect. So to bring everything in one specific kind of market is, let's say, nearly impossible. But if we had to define it, we could look at NFTs, we could look at digital assets, we could look at online shopping, we could look at digital humans, we could look at XR technologies, so virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality, and a lot more again. And all of this, so all of this metaverse trend and this XR trend falls into a different category, which is digital transformation, which is one of the kind of trends we're looking at as well. So a very, let's say, big figure that we can find in industry research states that there's 10+ trillion spent on digital transformation from 2019 to 2024, which is a staggering value. And then again, we have to look a little bit more granular, and you can find the future of work technology. So where all these technologies are going, and you can find a value of 1+ trillion spent in 2024. And again, we can see that of the total technology spent in the world, 57% will be on digital transformation in 2024, which is up 42% from 2020, which again is a very big value. And if we look at just the XR market, it was valued, I believe, 26 billion in 2020, and is expected to exceed a very staggering amount, which is 460 billion by 2026. So I would say that this is one of the biggest revolutions of our time, and we've got all these different combinatorial kind of effects coming into play in the XR industry. So you've got the metaverse, you've got digital transformation, you've got future of work. And when everything comes into play with this new way of interacting with the digital world, which is essentially XR technologies, I think we're on the cusp of this major revolution.
Yes, it definitely sounds like that with all the market growth and just exploding, into a massive, massive size. Well, when we look at Vection, one of the things that we see is that M&A is part of your strategy. And would you kind of help us understand more about the M&A and kind of what you look for in an acquisition?
Historically, Vection has grown from an organic and inorganic standpoint. So for us, looking at the M&A component is really to look at new ways of growing our organic part of the company. So inorganic growth to drive organic growth, as we like to call it. But I will take a step back initially to really explain why why M&A is so important for us. And it flows on from what I was saying earlier about combinatorial trends and combinatorial technologies, which is very, very important as part of a business and understanding where the XR technologies and the metaverse are going inside of the marketplace, inside of the enterprises. So as we see our company and as we, let's say, bring to fruition our vision, there's a single element which is core to everything we do, which is the XR core. So what we call essentially our proprietary XR technologies that integrate with existing and emerging systems and technologies. So the XR core is really our prime point of focus within the company. Then we have to go a step further, which is essentially the XR core enables the power of integration, and hence why we've defined it as integrated XR. So we've got an expertise of really understanding how we can integrate this visualization layer and this interaction layer, which is XR, with existing systems and softwares within the company. And this is where also we can get data that is already available within the company and bring it to life in a new and engaging way, being in the design engineering, being in the manufacturing phase, or sales and after sales, also marketing. And when you put these two together, we come to the vertical application. So we're also very big on vertical applications of XR technology. So understanding the market, understanding the industries we're working in is key for us to grow. So during, let's say, our history, and it's a very short history, we've been essentially listed for just 3 years, we've been able to already establish 2 verticals, one in the healthcare industry and a second one in the AEC, so architecture, engineering, construction, and real estate industry. And we're now looking to add different verticals to understand where these specific industries are going and understand specific use cases and applications where we can apply our technology and really bring to life this combinatorial effect of integrated XR and obviously the metaverse to come. And then I'll go a step further, again, talking about the actual M&A transactions we're looking at. So on one part, you've got the XR technology, and I'll connect it to the XR core that I mentioned earlier. So XR technology is focusing everything we do. So also when we're looking at M&A transactions, we're looking for some sort of technological edge, which has to be in XR or in, let's say, parallel technologies. So technologies that can bring to life the combinatorial effect of XR and the metaverse. And this brings me to the second point, which is integration. So having the power of integrating these technologies to bring to life this new vision is very, very important. Then we're looking at verticals. So we're looking at verticals in the automotive industry, in the fashion and furniture industries, and so on and so forth. So that's very important for us to really gain that in-depth industry expertise to really apply technologies in the field. Another big part of what we're looking for in acquisitions is geographical expansion. So we're working with multinational global companies that have presence all over the world. And as we structured a company growing during the years, we've got a division in the APEC region, so Asia Pacific, one in EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and one in America, so essentially focusing really in North America at this stage. So geographical expansion is really a big part of where we need to go in the coming months and years. Obviously, people is always very important, so we're looking to really gain some significant expertise in the industry, so really bringing on board very strong executives and management teams that can assist us get to the next level. And then we've got the clients, so it's always important to really identify companies that are not just a concept, are not startups, so really have essentially proven the technology or part of the technologies within the marketplace that can really assist the company to grow to the next level. And that is where the inorganic that drives organic growth really comes to play.
Great. You know, you talked about the technology, and one thing we see is, some people confuse VR and XR with gaming applications when it's really not. Can you give us a case study to help people kind of understand how the technology works?
We've got a lot of different use cases and applications. So Vection Technologies has developed essentially a suite of solutions. So that is what I was mentioning earlier, which is integrated XR. And integrated XR, as let's say a broad umbrella term, solves multiple problems faced by enterprises. So before getting to the actual use cases, what we do is we assist companies digitalization through XR and through combinatorial trends and combinatorial technologies. And we integrate them with existing systems that are systems and solutions already in existence within the company. So this is important always to repeat. A lot of our use cases, unfortunately, are covered by NDA in terms of who the client is, but I can give you some very specific examples in terms of different industries and different applications. So, for instance, we've got a very big client, which is a train operator, one of the largest in Europe, that essentially what we did for them, we applied one of our solutions. So what we did was we digitalized the knowledge base. So knowledge base that was traditionally essentially on paper or was essentially transferred person by person. And we digitalize it inside of a digital environment. And through one of our technologies, we were able to create the 3D assets of all this knowledge base for the trains, essentially, and bring to fruition a very simple step-by-step manual to really, so the benefits of this solution is that they can visualize in augmented reality the step-by-step, let's say, manuals in augmented reality, so superimposed on the actual machine in front of them. They can visualize it in 3D. They can learn via this technology as well. So not only you can perform the task at hand in a more simple and effective way, but you're also trained on the job, which is essentially a very powerful tool to avoid the repetition of mistakes and to really become more efficient during the process. Another example is a very famous fashion retailer. Is one of the most known brands globally. They use one of our solutions for the visualization of the retail stores before they are actually built. So what they do is they use our technology, they build the retail store, they get inside of virtual reality in a collaborative way, and they can understand what is the, let's say, the flow of a potential customer, of a customer that walks inside of the store before the store is actually built. So they can decide the colors, they can understand how that makes the client feel, etc., etc. So it's a very powerful tool for them to really save money and to avoid, again, mistakes and to have to fix those mistakes after their retail store is actually built. Another example I can give you, and again, we're working in very different industries, is in the defense industry. So one of our clients is one of the top 10 military shipbuilders globally. They use one of our technologies for the real-time 3D and virtual reality visualization of submarines during the design process. So we really gave them the ability to visualize large data sets seamlessly and also identify errors prior to manufacturing. So this was a very, very strong use cases, which unfortunately, considering also the nature of the client, is under wraps in terms of the actual use case. Another example is in the automotive industry, where we've got one of the largest automotive companies globally, is a German auto manufacturer. That utilizes a technology for real-time visualization of design, being in virtual reality or being as a essential live link into rendering software. So these are just some examples of what a technology can do, and they're all aimed at either saving money for the company, for the client, by essentially avoid mistakes and having to fix those mistakes after something is built, or also by facing the customer in a better and engaging way.
To conclude, can you please outline your current investment case for potential buyers of Vection Technologies stock?
It's all about growth, to be honest. So Vection Technologies has grown significantly in the last 3 years. We started 3 years ago as we had just 2 little offices. One was in India, the other was in Italy, actually, hence the accent. In just 3 years, we've built the necessary infrastructure, the proprietary technology. So we invested a lot in research and development. We created very strong industrial enterprise partnerships. And we've always been driven by this vision of connecting enterprises with the digital world via this integrated XR proposition. So if we couple everything we've been working towards in the last 3 years with this, let's say, revolutionary trend that we're looking today in the market that we were mentioning earlier, so metaverse, XR technologies, and so on and so forth, I think we're on the cusp of the perfect storm, as I like to say. And Vection Technologies really wants to position itself as not the, but one of the global leaders in this space. So again, it's all about growth. It's all about geographical expansion. It's all about really bringing our technology within companies' workflows and really bringing this XR trend to life within enterprises.
Great. Well, thank you again, Gianmarco, for taking the time to explain, all the exciting things going on with Vection Technologies, and we really appreciate your time.